Welcome to another episode of The White Lines. I'm your host, David Chase. Now, if your company's mission statement includes words like creating a disaster-resilient nation, then you'd better have some tools and equipment in your arsenal to back that up. That's why today, we're sitting down with the ODPM to get a closer look at their hazard response vehicles. Come on, let's go. I thought it would be a good idea to ask one of the ODPM's long-standing employees, Eric Mackey, to give me the 411 on exactly what the ODPM does, to which he responded.
You need a day? Yeah, you have a day, sorry. I need a day to tell you that.
So some people, and maybe even myself to some degree, don't fully understand when the ODPM gets into action. So every time the rain falls and an area floods, is that something that the ODPM responds to?
The ODPM is always monitoring, right? So when you have small flooding events and so on, we are monitoring what is happening in that flood event. Right? We are in touch with the municipal corporation or corporations that are affected very closely, and if they need anything, they call on us for assistance, and we provide that assistance as necessary. Now, you have flooding that might be a localized thing. We really only monitoring that, right? But if you have an event where two or more municipal corporations are severely impacted, that's when, based on the information that we gather, the CEO may then activate the NUC to a level 2, perhaps, to respond to the situation. And then, of course, when you have a situation where the entire country is impacted, we would go straight to level 3 one time. And the NUC would be fully occupied by all of the different response agencies. Inside this room, there would be senior representatives from the police and the fire and the defense force, municipal corporations, all TNTEC, WASA, TSTT, all of them have a position inside the senior management position. With the senior management person would occupy the position so that they can make decisions on the fly right here as we respond. But we coordinate the response rather than respond directly into the incident.
Why was it important to acquire or to have these multi-terrain vehicles?
We've had, in the past, we've had vehicles, right? We had some Navaras a while back, and they helped us quite a bit in response to various situations. However, they were stock vehicles,
right?
And there were situations where they couldn't go. A lot of situations, they did better than a car in trying to get to a location, but they weren't all that good.
Right.
So the Jeep Wranglers, for example, have very large tires, they're high off the ground and so on, so they can navigate over obstacles and so on a lot easier than, say, the Navara would and so on. You know? So it's very much advantageous to have that, particularly in the light that in the event of a situation, you will likely have to cross various obstacles to get to, even including water or mud. There are instances where we find it is necessary for us to get on the ground, to get a clearer picture of what is going on the ground. And that's where the Jeep Wranglers would come into it, you know, because they can go into areas that a lot of other vehicles, including the municipal corporation response vehicles, mightn't be able to get into. Right? The Jeep Wranglers are extreme terrain vehicles, so they can go just about anywhere within reason to get eyes-on contact on what is going on, to get a better picture. So in instances like that, we would go out in the field in response to something that's going on, especially in the aftermath of a major disaster. You know, you have things that you have landslides and stuff like that. You have flooding, trees down, all this sort of stuff. You know, so you need to be able to deal with those situations while you're going to the response. You know, going to the area that you need to respond to. So that basically is part of the function of the vehicles that we have required. We have the two Jeep Wranglers, a donation from the US government. We have a couple of Sporteros as well. We have a flatbed truck with a high arm. And if we need to move everybody in a hurry, we have a 25-seater bus. Right? That would come into play in a disaster. For example, if this room were to become compromised in the disaster or in the aftermath of the disaster, we have an alternate location that we would transport everybody to. And having that bus is a big plus in getting that done.
So is there any particular reason why the Jeep was chosen? The Jeep Wrangler?
Well, the Jeep Wrangler met all of the requirements that we were looking for. Because in the aftermath of most disasters, you have a lot of obstacles in the road, or you may have to go off the road altogether to get to the scene of the incident. Right? And the Jeep Wranglers are made specifically for that. Right? They are very high off the ground, they have very large tires and rims, and they can go over obstacles that normal vehicles just can't make. So that's one of the main reasons really why we acquired those, right? And it was available locally with a local agent, so that's a big plus, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And for a vehicle like that, you must have a good service support to back you up in case anything should go wrong. They make sure it's functioning properly all the time and so on. And as I say, a very big plus in having that. This is the 2020 edition of the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, which is a pretty famous vehicle in other parts of the world. It's well known for its off-road capabilities and stuff like that. The Jeeps, they come with 18-inch rims and they're outfitted with 37-inch all-terrain tires. Under the hood there's a 2-liter turbocharged engine, and it goes to an automatic transmission, and that automatic transmission is multi-gear. It is, I believe, either a 6 or 8-speed transmission.
Okay.
Right? So that helps in maintaining the power of the vehicle as it accelerates up through the gear range and so on. You don't have a big space between gear ratio. The vehicles are also outfitted with what's known as a snorkel. The snorkel is similar to what a scuba diver perhaps might use, or somebody that's on vacation, you see them snorkeling around.
Yeah.
The snorkel is the same principle. It allows the vehicle engine to breathe air when it's underwater.
Which means that these vehicles are capable of wading.
Going into pretty deep water. The recommended depth is up to the top of the fenders. If you go deeper than that, you might be in trouble. Right, but they can go up to the top of the fenders, and in that situation, most of the engine is underwater. So the snorkel runs up above the windscreen and down into the engine compartment and goes straight into the air intake. So it's taking the air from up above the roof of the vehicle down into the engine. So the engine could be underwater and it still works. It also has winches, front and rear. There are 2 winches. It has a front winch with a 12,000 pound capacity and a rear winch with an 8,000 pound capacity. And these winches would be useful in like pulling logs and so on out of the way so that you can go down the road. It's also outfitted with steel bumpers front and rear, right? And those bumpers will enable it to push things without damaging the vehicle and so on. Right? So you have an obstacle in front of you that you need to, a large obstacle you need to get out of the road, you just run up to it, push your bumper against it, and push it out of the way.
I could see that coming in handy in traffic.
Yeah, quite possibly, yeah. There's also what's known as a rhino rack on the top, above the roof of the vehicle, and that's there to carry any additional equipment we may need to carry into the location and so on. Because we have a large trunk area, for want of a better word. But there's sometimes when we have equipment that might be a little bit large and so on, we can put it up on the rhino rack and strap it down and go down the road with it. As the lead coordinating agency, there are times when we need to get into the field to see what's going on for ourselves. Most of the time we can rely on information coming back to us from the scene of the incident. But there have been times in the past, and there will continue to be times in the future when we need to have eyes on the ground, right? So that's where the Jeep Wranglers would come in. The ODPM is the nation's strategic disaster coordinating agency, and in times of national level disasters, it must possess the capability to conduct operations in a multi-hazard environment, such as floods, thick mud, and other difficult conditions, in order to save lives and bring relief to citizens. The ODPM continues to rely on the various arms within the Ministry of National Security and other response agencies to provide surge capacity. However, as the National Disaster Coordinating Agency, this office must be capable of conducting independent operations.
Well, now that we've figured out exactly what the ODPM does and the role it and its vehicles play in keeping the country and its citizens safe, it's time to figure out if the hype behind the Wrangler is real. And to do that, we've teamed up with some of the most extreme people I know to find some of the most disastrous roads in Trinidad and Tobago to put the Rubicon through its paces. You guessed it, we're going off-roading. So after a few hours in the mud, trying to test the limits of these Jeep Wranglers, we've made it here to the mud volcano, and it's beautiful. We love our country. We love all the natural resources and environmental landmarks that we have, but we also love our cars, and we are really impressed with the two new ODPM Wranglers and their capabilities. Front and rear winches, 37-inch tires, everything they need to get them in and out of a disaster area. So now that we've taken the vehicles out of the trail, how do you think they performed in this situation?
Oh, I think they did very well. We went through some fairly extreme conditions a couple of times the other day, and we didn't have any real untoward incidents or anything like that where the vehicles went through. We got stuck a little bit at times, but that's to be expected in the amount of mud that we were in.
Absolutely.
You know, so you go there and you work your way out of it, and that's the whole
part of off-roading and stuff like that.
So Kerwin, now that you've taken the vehicle out on the trail, you've gotten a little bit more experience driving it. What's your first impression?
Very powerful, capable of doing a lot. In situations that we achieve the vehicles to do right now, putting it out on the trail today, we realize that it's capable to do what we acquired them to do.
Right.
You know, power-wise, coming through the mud, skating, you know, from the off-road guys, we learn a lot in controlling the vehicles in the mud, that kind of thing. You know. So I believe that we are at the top of the game right now.
Yeah.
White line. Okay.
What was your impression of the vehicles?
Vehicle's fantastic, man. They're performing. I mean, we can't wait to get them in some more action because I don't know nothing bad to say about it. They're working really nice, man.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
So I saw a lot of the members of the off-roading club interacting with the ODPM and driving and stuff like that. Is that something that happens regularly?
Well, this is like probably a historic day. The first run the ODPM actually made with the off-roaders. This never happened before. Right now we're working on forming the Trinidad and Tobago Off-Road Association, and the ODPM is key with that. So we're actually going to be a part of their volunteer groups. Off-roaders will fall under them. So in the event of a crisis or a disaster or anything like that, the off-roaders will be called upon to respond to help if there's nationwide flooding. Even in the other islands, and speaking with the ODPM, they say that they'll take us there to help because our vehicles are equipped.
Right.
So today they actually saw the off-roaders' capabilities compared to theirs, and we're on par right now.
Which is good.
Yeah, which is good. So
Which is good because we want the ODPM to
Yeah.
be ready and be at the top of their game.
yeah, correct.
That's awesome.
So they're performing, and the Wranglers definitely. We didn't even press them hard today. I mean, they effortlessly they came through these trails. So.
Planning one's response to a natural disaster can be a difficult thing because one can never predict the outcome of such events. Sort of like off-roading. You never know what's going to happen once you hit the trail, but if you plan for the worst, most likely you'll make it out in one piece. So I applaud the efforts of the Ministry of National Security for dedicating resources into divisions such as the ODPM. And now, after receiving this donation or gift from the US government, I feel even more confident in our nation's ability to serve its citizens in the event of a disaster. The ODPM is taking the right steps to familiarize itself with its new equipment. Private citizens are collaborating with the ODPM to assist where possible, and we all can rest assured that as a country, we are safer because of these two vehicles. A perfect example of how we in the automotive industry, businesses and private citizens alike are working to create a better TNT. It's a dirty job, yes, but someone's got to do it. My name is David Chase, and I'll see you next time on The White Lines.